Hi, we're at our 2026 annual parliamentary reception, and I'm really excited today because this is also our 10-year anniversary of Mobile UK. So we're going to be hearing some speeches later, and we're going to be hearing from the Minister, and I'm going to be doing a few podcasts with people here today, our guests, and equally some of the interesting things we've got going on. So keep watching. Julie, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you, Gareth.
Thank you for sponsoring our 10-year anniversary. It's been fantastic so far. I hope you're enjoying it.
It's great. It's an absolute pleasure to host you.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to ask you a quick question. Policy, and I know you don't want to talk all about policy, but I'm going to go with you anyway. So, the question I've got is, has government done enough for mobile over the last few years? And do you think it can go further?
That's a really, really good question, actually. And I've obviously got a history in the mobile sector. It's a while since I've worked in it.
At Three.
I worked at Three for a very, very long time. I'm very aware, though, that things have moved on. But one of the things I know from talking to yourselves in recent years since I was elected as an MP is that we've got a real challenge with planning policy. And one of the things that particularly worries me in cities like London is the difficulty with getting new sites when you've been served a notice to quit. I think as policymakers, we've got to get that right, but we've also got to look more widely about what the advantages are in policy and planning reform that can make lives a little bit easier for really hard-pressed planning departments.
So notice to quits and planning.
Yeah.
I mean, brilliant. I think they're definitely key policies we would advocate too. I think, especially in places like London, big cities, a notice to quit can affect thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I remember from my time in the mobile sector, we had a fault not far from here, actually, on a mast, and it lasted for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks because actually you couldn't get access to the site. But things are even worse than that now. You can't actually get a new site when you've been turfed off the top of a tower block that's been demolished.
It is, and you say London particularly, we're in the city now, really big problem. We've got planning on the table, so we're looking to you to help us with the government to get this over the line.
Definitely. Well, obviously, we're going to have a new Prime Minister in the next few weeks. I think that's a real opportunity to talk about what you can do to support that growth agenda. I know we've heard growth, but without any of that, we can't achieve some of our wider policy aims. So we've got to get planning right. I think the other thing as well is I'm not aware that the government's got necessarily a spectrum strategy, but I have been lobbied very heavily when it comes to Freeview switch off.
Yeah.
But I'm also aware that that's really valuable spectrum sector.
Yeah, helps with capacity.
Yeah, completely. So we've got to get that right, but I think it needs to sit within a wider strategy for what the government wants to achieve with what is a public asset and how over the next 10 years spectrum is going to leverage that growth and leverage your expansion in the services.
Well, thank you, Julie.
Pleasure.
Spectrum and planning, and again, thank you for being our host.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
So here we are, talking in the mobile phone museum.
That's a large phone. Hey, Ben, what have you got there?
Well, this is an iconic device. This is the Motorola Dynatac 8000X, first ever hand portable device. One of the prize exhibits of the Mobile Phone Museum, and that's why we're here tonight.
And Ben, I've seen the exhibits there. There's some amazing phones in there. And the first mobile phone, which, we're a little smaller than that these days, aren't we?
We're a lot smaller, and of course, the whole way in which we interact with mobile phones has changed as well. This was a voice-first device. We had a voice interaction with the world. We moved over time to a visual interaction with the world. We all look down at our phones now.
We do now, but voice first, that was is that 1G?
This is 1G. This is original 1G tax technology for people who love that kind of thing. And actually, this one is signed by Martin Cooper, the inventor of the mobile phone, who is now 95 years old.
Wow. And so just tell us about some of the other phones you've got there, because I was seeing some of this, like Nokia 3310. There was even a discounted Microsoft phone, I think I saw.
So we have a whole amazing selection of devices across the years. So we start with the original phones from 1985, launched in the UK, big transportable phones, the size of a car battery. We transition into 2G, GSM, absolutely game-changing technology, made mobile phones.
As well, at that point?
So that was the introduction of new services beyond voice. Text messaging, 160 characters of text at 10 pence a go. And that really, that we have devices here which I would consider to be the genesis of the modern mobile phone. The ability to send text message, billions of WhatsApp messages sent every day now, and the support of mobile data, which of course internet is central to everything we do. From there, we move into 3G, huge bet, big investment here in the UK.
It's going to be video as well.
Video calling started, didn't take off. Funny enough, it took all the way to the pandemic for people really to embrace video.
Yeah. I remember trying one. I had a flip phone, and I remember trying it very blocky at that point.
Dreadful. And they were trying to do all sorts of things like football clips and even horoscopes, all sorts of delivery mechanisms that they had. And then we just go through the ages. So there are phones of all shapes and sizes, all different colours, small phones, flip phones, slider phones, rotating phones.
I was going to say though, would you say we've lost a bit of that innovation? Because the phones used to come in all different shapes and sizes. You say flip phones, slider phones, whereas today it's sort of a glass front.
Absolutely. So I think we can credit Steve Jobs for that. When in January 2007 he walked on stage, he pulled the iPhone out of his pocket, and it really has become the dominant design for the mobile phone today. Unfortunately, the Mobile Phone Museum, it all got a bit boring. But there's a glimmer of hope right now, because we're now in an era where we're seeing foldable phones arriving, screens that can be folded in half. Lots of rumours Apple will launch a device like that later this year as well. So a little bit of the design diversity starting to reappear in the marketplace.
And in some cases, also not just phones these days. As we sort of move into like glasses and wearables and things like that.
A multitude of connected devices around your body. You know, I'm a good example of that. You know, 2 smartwatches, a smart ring, potentially smart glasses, you know, headphones. We're moving to a world where I very much believe we'll have ambient AI as well. So all these devices will be constantly sensing. The health benefits of these products are unbelievable. You know, can preemptively detect something like atrial fibrillation.
We heard that from Hamish's speech as well, didn't
Indeed. Hamish talked very much about the importance of connectivity and how it saved his friend's life.
Yeah, and that was from an accident, and the phone automatically sent a text message to the emergency services. It's astonishing what we've come from, which you've documented in your museum, and that exhibit here you've brought. Thank you so much. We'll send some pictures up as we talk about this that will go up and overlay on this. But it's just a wonderful sort of capture of the. I mean, you know, we're 10 years today, but mobile have been part of us now for about 40 years now.
It's 40 years last year, so 1985 it all began in the UK. And I think you're absolutely right. So the Mobile Phone Museum, we're a charity, we're dedicated to safeguarding these important pieces of social history. And if anyone who's listening or watching wants to learn more, go to mobilephonemuseum.com, and we have over 3,000 unique devices already catalogued, over 5,000 in our total collection.
And I would say to anyone, do that, because it is just a wonderful look back in the past. And if any of you, unfortunately, are older as me, you know, you'll notice from the very start and go through your life through your mobile phone. I remember the ones with the old script. You could change the front of the cover as well, you know, in those days. But thank you, Ben. I mean, it's been an absolute treasure to have you here, and thank you for being part of our 10-year anniversary.
Thanks for having us along.
Thank you. Right, hi again. I have here with me Jonathan Freeman, who is the chair of the Mobile Infrastructure Forum. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, Gareth. Really nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I hope you're having a great time at our 10-year anniversary.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it? 10 years of Mobile UK. It's brilliant. It's been a fantastic evening.
It's been a journey, I must say. Well, I wanted to ask you, whilst I've got you here, because you are chair of the Mobile Infrastructure Forum, which represents the TowerCo sector. Over that last 10 years, planning, we heard in the speeches, is a major constraint. I mean, from your point of view, how much of a constraint is it?
Yeah, I think we've got to think about the fact we're now in a new era, if you like, of mobile deployment. So we had that initial wave of 2G deployment. We can all remember the phones. I think you've done some interviews with the Mobile Phone Museum.
Looking at some 2G phones.
Some of these 2G phones. And then we went through a period of kind of 4G upgrade where actually you weren't needing to change the infrastructure that much. We're now in a different world where we've got to make bigger, taller, stronger infrastructure to bring that 5G service to consumers. And from a planning perspective, it feels like we're still a bit stuck almost in that 2G, 3G era. We need to now update the rules.
So planning hasn't moved forward?
Yeah, it's not evolved at the same rate as mobile technology. I think the other thing that's great in the UK is we do share a lot of infrastructure. Like well over half of the infrastructure in the UK is shared by more than one operator.
And that's a myth sometimes that people don't realise. They say, why can't you share more?
Yeah, but actually sharing's really high. I think it's even potentially above 70% now. So it's a really high level of sharing, and the planning rules unfortunately sometimes don't reward that. They kind of almost encourage building independent infrastructure because it's individually smaller but collectively results in more.
Well, we got changes to permitted development rights, which is one of the areas we're looking at in, I think it was 2020, but they haven't progressed to the existing infrastructure. So you can build new infrastructure, but we're trying to consolidate and expand the existing network now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think what's interesting is, the industry's undergoing this huge upgrade program. So right now we need the planning support to deliver those upgrades, which is, simple terms, slightly bigger, slightly taller, slightly stronger. We will then move to another phase though, where we'll be building new infrastructure, particularly as we're seeing lots of urban developments. We can kind of see a bit in the skyline behind us, where we'll need to build new sites. We need to replace sites that we're kind of losing from that development. So actually we'll need both. We need planning rules that support the upgrades, but also planning rules that mean we can deploy new infrastructure to give that service continuity to people.
And do you think this is on the priority list of the current government and what we're going to expect in the next few sort of days, weeks, a new government?
I think we're really hopeful that the government's understood that there's a small set of changes, an incremental change they can make that would have a transformative difference to the industry. Priority-wise, it's always difficult. There's lots of people that are in the queue for kind of planning reform. We really hope with the new government that mobile moves up that list a little bit and they see the economic multiplier that deploying mobile infrastructure has.
Let's not forget, planning reform doesn't cost. It's not. We're not asking for government investment in this. It's changes to the planning rules, which, as you just said, small impact, small changes, but big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a really large impact, those changes to rules, and we're still very respectful that local communities need to have a say in what goes on, so we're not looking to overwrite that. But largely the changes are pretty incremental. They wouldn't actually be noticed that broadly by people out there in sort of day-to-day life. What they will notice, though, is the transformation to their mobile service when they can do the things they want to do in more places and use new applications that are coming down the train from AI and things like that.
Exactly. Jonathan, thank you so much for that. Chair of the Mobile Infrastructure Forum. Thank you all.